Hello, and welcome to another On Point review. I'm your host, John Pointer, and I'm joined once again with my good friend Atticus. How are you doing today,
Hello.
Atticus?
I'm doing quite well. For folks who might be tuning in for the first time, hello, I am Dr. Atticus Fabergé. I am a practicing and professional doctor, and boy, is it a great time to be a doctor in this fine country of ours. Business is booming, as they say back. We used to say that back in the day when the factories were pushing out a whole lot of soap. And, I don't work in the soap business, but I had a friend who did. I digress, though. We're here to talk about movies and film.
Yes, and the movie we're talking about today is the movie that just came out, Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel. An interesting science fiction, fantasy, action, comedy. There are so many genres wrapped into this one movie. It's a little bit animated at some points. It's kind of an interesting mishmash. What was your take on it?
Oh, I had quite a good time watching this film. As you said, it was quite a showcase of the ability of Mr. Vin Diesel and his prowess in all those various genres and fields. I mostly thought of the man as an artist, but it was great to see a more fun loving side to Mr. Diesel, and of course the source material. Now I might be dating myself a little bit here, but I am actually quite a fan of the original run of the Bloodshot comic book.
Yeah, I do think they diverted from the comic book in a few interesting and creative ways. I have not read the comic book myself, but I did read a little bit on the fine details. They really took this in an interesting new direction. I am going to say going forward that this review is, of course, spoiler free. Because it's actually kind of hard to actually spoil this because so many of the twists and turns are told to you right there in the trailer. So I feel like we don't really have to be too coy about that.
No, I mean, if someone's going to go see Bloodshot in the year of our Lord 2020, they're knowing what they're getting into. Bloodshot's sort of a piece of modern mythology. You don't go there to be surprised. You go there for the quality of the adaptation.
Yeah, absolutely. So the basic plot, of course, is Vin Diesel's character is a soldier who dies, and they bring him back much in the same way as the $7 million man thing, and except he comes back with superpowers and he can heal himself and he can break things with his fists, and there might have been an implied time travel power that he has.
Basically a cross between Jonathan Rambo and the Terminator.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be a confusing movie, but it's surprisingly it packages it in a way that it actually makes sense to you. Like, I could describe all kinds of things to you, and when you hear it, you say that sounds crazy, like the robot rabbit, and when he gets his head trapped inside his own head. It sounds ridiculous, but then when you see the movie and they explain it to you, it makes perfect sense. It's an interesting experience.
It boils down, in essence, it boils down the value of simple adaptation of Americana, of modern mythology. Everyone knows the tale of Bloodshot. There's no schoolchild who you could walk up to and say, "Oh, are you aware of the chainsaw?" And obviously they'll know that the chainsaw was a code name for a highly trained team of mercenaries that worked for the DOA, Domestic Operations Authority. Everyone knows this. And so when you go to see a Bloodshot film, you don't go there to say, "Oh, who are the chainsaw?" You go there to say, "How did you deliver the chainsaw?"
Right, and of course the chainsaw is also a metaphor for him not knowing his real mother, and it's a really interesting kind of dichotomy there. So
yes, absolutely.
So you enjoyed the movie too? Can I take it?
Yes, I mean, obviously, as someone who is a devoted fan to the first run of the Bloodshot comic book, I would have issues to take if I were a younger man with more fire in my belly. But I'm not there to pick apart the work of someone who works, of a team, not just someone, a team who work in a field different from my own. So I enjoyed myself. Obviously, they got a few things wrong, or took, as you said, a few liberties, sometimes for the sake of Mr. Diesel. For instance, he is bald, Bloodshot, very commonly in all of his iconography is not a bald man, but you go to a film with Bloodshot in the title, you know who it is. He still has a red dot on him. He still is full of nano machina, and he still is a modern-day Frankenstein's monster. He wages a one-man war, taking out the mob, the police, and his covert government creators in his struggle to find out who he was and what he has become.
I could have done without the scene where he was like repeatedly kicking puppies. And like they said, it's like part of his training, and they weren't real puppies; they were holograms and so on. But I didn't really understand like what the point to having that exercise even was.
Well, I don't mean to adjust my glasses at you, but as a Bloodshot fan, in Volume 5, Bloodshot Salvation, that is a very a classic, beloved scene from issue number 7 of that 12 regular issue series, with a number of event tie-ins, of course, and you can't expect to have those in the film, but it was nice to see that throwback.
I did kind of like the scene at the end where they kind of came full circle with that, and he's like having like he's tearfully reunited with his family, and he looks over the distance and he waves hello to the ghosts of the hologram puppies who died so that he could have this victory. Except they're holograms, so they weren't real puppies, but they still have ghosts because of the hologram. It makes sense in the movie, but again, it sounds ridiculous when you say it to someone who hasn't actually experienced Bloodshot.
Yes, and obviously, if you're listening to this review, even though we are spoiler-free, you probably have gone to see Bloodshot like any other boy in this great country of ours. It should be a national holiday, if you ask me. And that scene was not to step outside of the film itself, but more in the production. I got to once again call out what well-trained puppies. They had, I for a moment thought they were a special effect until I read a few interviews with the director.
Yeah, it's, I believe it's the same animal trainer who did the old, it wasn't Bloodshot, it was, Blood Stab, the R-rated action movie that also was about dogs. It was a really cool movie that I saw in the 90s. I went to see in the movie theater with my grandfather, actually, just 2 days before he passed away. It was a really fun film.
My condolences.
Oh, thank you. It's so I could kind of see a little bit of a parallel to that, and I think that it's something that, I hope that this guy gets more work, because I don't know if he's had work between then and now, but he's still doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, that stunt team, I've been quite a proponent for, and I'm sure this is going to be the start of an illustrious career, and hopefully we can see some more action puppies. In a modern cinema, and not have to see them consigned to the B-movie DVD rental aisle as they have been for decades.
Well, so those were our thoughts. We both enjoyed the movie quite a bit, and we're giving the movie 3 points.
Yeah, full 3.
So thank you all for joining and listening, and be sure to leave a comment and follow us on Twitter.
And remember, you want to push all those buttons and make sure you tune into our social media and drink your orange juice.